What's going on, people? Another edition of How to Make a Living Without a Job. I'm going to talk about something a little odd, something that recently came up during the consult. One of the reasons I like doing consults is I get to the nitty-gritty of a situation. Title of this joint: How to Live on One Income When You Don't Have to. Something that a lot of people just really don't think about. They're like, hey, I have a dream. I want to do this thing. I want to start a business. I want to do what I want to do. But they do not think. Thinking of that. If you want to change your mindset, get a copy of my audiobook, The Hustler Mindset, Pimping Your Mind for Success. Now let's just chop into it. You want to make a living without a job, but currently you have a job. So you're married. I'll give you the case profile of this recent event. And when I say recent, within the last 8-9 months. That's recent to me. So we're going through the deal because I get a lot of people that contact me, and the big thing is, I want to quit my job. I want to quit my job. I hate my job. It is sucking my soul out of my body. Every day I feel a little bit lighter because I'm dying inside. And they want to quit, and they want to quit, and they want to quit now. Like those J.G. Whitworth commercials. It's my money and I want it now. They want their emancipation. But there's something called life that's getting in the way. Well, this is what you do. You sit down and you do an assessment. And I'm going to walk you through the process that I walked this person through. This person is married. He and the wife make, if I remember correctly, between both of them, about 65, 70, somewhere around there. And it's a struggle. So, what I told him actually blew his mind. I was like, okay, for you to escape this life that you claim to hate, you're going to have to do something radical. Because I was talking to the person, the nuances and the tones. The person was stressed the hell out. Wanted to be out of this situation like you wouldn't believe. It was just like, I gotta go. It was that type of deal. So, we're talking, and I was like, okay, what's your debt load? First question, one of my first questions to people that want to quit their job, what is your debt load? Because your debt's not going to disappear because you want to quit your job. That's not going to happen. It's a pipe dream. So we addressed that. The debt load, actually, surprisingly enough, was non-existent. I was like, well, pat yourself on the back right now because you're a rare person to have really no debt. Cars are paid off. And, the house, whether you have a house or an apartment, I don't consider that too much debt because you got to have a place to live. So that was it. They had a mortgage. Asked what the mortgage was, told me, and I said, okay, so, this is what you do. So we created a new budget because this person had a lot of fat in the budget. Season tickets, vacations, all kinds of things. Once again, I gave this person credit for paying cash or, paying off their credit card every month, so they didn't have all this crazy debt. I was like, okay, all that ceases. Now, what you're going to do, you and the missus are going to live on one income, and you're going to bank the other one. Now, this is something that actually came as part of my dating process. And they're going, what? How did the two actually match up? When I was dating, well, I should say, if I'm dating, on the serious tip, or I see someone has potential, this is one of my dating questions. Hey, baby. Just stupid. And I hit them on the cuff. You got to hit them when they don't see it coming. You got to just get in there. Stick and move. So I'm like, hey, baby, I got a little thing. I was thinking, just suppose you and I were married. And I came up to you and I said, hey, what if we just live on one income, the larger income, and we bank the rest? Then I would shut up just to see their response. Because, many women are saying, hey, I want leadership, So that's a real leadership move because I want to see how they're going to respond to logic and a strong leadership move. And so many women fail that test because they said crazy stuff. But anywho, going back to the couple, I was like, this is what you do. You live on one income. And, I was like, get the wife on the phone. Because this is the thing. When you're married, it's just best that they hear it directly from the horse's mouth. And I was like, it's going to cause you some pain because your habits are, you're used to living on your money and blowing it fast. You're like Big Meech, blowing money fast. Because, you got all the stuff. You see something, you want it. So if you want to get out of that, got to make some serious ass changes, some really big ass changes. Now we continue to talk, and I was like, this is your deal. All of that has to go away for a period of 2 years. Now understand, this is recent stuff. And now it was funny. They both were kind of like, we don't know if we can do that. And I was like, okay. So I went back and I was like, look, this is what you told me. And you're saying one thing, but your actions lead you to another. If you want to get to that point where you want to be a boss versus having a boss, you're going to have to change your habits. You're going to have to change how you spend your money. You're going to have to change how you live. What you do today is going to predicate your tomorrows. So if you keep living the same old way today, your tomorrows are going to be pretty much like they are today. Now, if your todays are happy, if your todays are exactly what you want, cool. Let's just end this call. But if you really mean that your days suck, you hate going to your job because, as you put it earlier, it's sucking your soul, then, what are you going to do? Because this is a time where you're going to either put up or shut up. And I just kind of was silent, and they discussed it and everything. And it's so hard. And, the kids, they want stuff. And I was like, well, once again, and he wanted to get into the storage auction business. And this is something that I never did, even early on, because the storage auction business is very hard and you need real scale. I mean, significant scale to ensure that you can pay all your monthly bills. Buying 1 or 2 units a month, probably not going to happen. You need, unless you're in a really small town and you're the big fish. But I know what it takes to make a full-time living with storage units, and it takes a business. It takes having a warehouse. It's stuff that a lot of people want to do. A lot of folks are kind of stuck on that fantasy that I am going to be able to do this business out of my basement and make $1 million. Not going to happen. So we went through those gyrations and everything, and we talked it out, and I said some really stern stuff. And I was like, look, are you a punk or are you a man? I said this on the phone, right? Because I expected, this is going to be a chargeback. And he got a little offended, as expected. I said, look, because you're telling me all this stuff. And, the wife is like, well, I don't know. And they're going on and on and on. Then I just took control of the conversation. I was all right, this is what you're going to do. Because I sensed that no one in that family unit could make a firm decision on something difficult. They just kind of like push it to the back, push it to the back, push it to the back. So I made a decision. I said, all right, starting this month, you're paring back. You're going to do this, you're going to do this. I created guidelines and goals. Because I said, I knew their income, I knew their expenses. And, for the next 90 days, this is what you're going to do. So 3 months later, I called them up and I was like, how's it going? And these people who were so freaking resistant, who were like, who were just like really giving me the business, were like, man, that's one of the best things we've ever done. We have 3 months, just 3 months, we have $9,000 in the bank. Now, to give you the proper perspective of that, the average American doesn't have 2 G's in the bank, cash money. It was a study done. Average American, over half, don't have 2 G's. And they were just like, wow, we see it. It isn't as hard as we thought. We've turned savings into a game. We go to matinees. We do Netflix. They were, like I said, now for you, if you want to really, really, really change your life, you got to change your mindset. Now, here's a few steps to paring down if you have 2 incomes, how to get down to 1. You got to have a come to Jesus meeting, as some people like to call it, and really ask yourself if the things that you have are worth the life that you want. Because typically, what I have learned from the storage auction business is that people accumulate stuff that really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. They accumulate stuff, and they just for the sake of accumulating stuff. So, the car you have, are you in love with it? I mean, seriously, are you in love with it? The house you live in, is it the house you wanted, or is it just something you got because you needed to get something? How is this thing really, really rocking for you? Because if it's not like really killer, it may have to go. So do an assessment. Do a big assessment. Really look at your life as, if this is life enhancing or life distracting. You know, I've had people sell cars. You know, if you got a car that, you know, you got because it was nice and you were at the dealership, you got an erection, next thing you know, you're in the car, keys are in your hand, that sucker might need to go. Because you really have to think, what's most important? Your dream, life, or stuff? I mean, I will tell you, that's one of the reasons I don't keep a lot of stuff in my life. I used to be a pack rat. That's why the old blog was named the Urban Pack Rat. Because people just pack this stuff up and they keep it and they keep it. And it really is not worth it. So do the enhancement of your life. And I call it the enhancement, not the distraction, but the enhancement. You go through all this stuff and you make big, bold plans for your future life. Because this is the thing. I'm going to say probably good 70% of the people in the country cannot have the life that they want because of the stuff they have. About 70%. Because, you know, you hear things like, well, when you make more money, you have to spend more money. That is one of the most stupidest things I've ever heard in my life. No, you don't. It's a choice. Everything we do is a choice. If you're making more money, you don't have to spend more money. You want to spend more money. So go through that assessment. I mean, seriously, it might mean something like you doing something radical as moving back in with the parents. I know you're like, what? I'm an adult. I'm not moving back in with those old people. They gonna treat me like a kid. Not if you move in like an adult. Hey, mom and dad, this is the thing. Take them to the kitchen table. And this is another tip. Whenever you're talking business, do not talk business in the living room. Do not talk business in the family room. Go to the dining room table or the kitchen table to talk business. And say, look, this is what I want to do. I need to save some money. So I want to move back in. And don't move back in like a bum. How much would you need for me to pay you for moving back in? And there's, you know, parents are all over the place. There's a group of parents that's like, oh, you don't have to pay us. And even if you have those kind of parents, she's like, look, you know, I'm gonna catch 2 bills, utility, cable, whatever, because the cost savings are over the top crazy for you. And you move in there, and the money that you save for not having rent, utilities, whatever, immediately goes in the bank. It does not go, you know, or you do that to retire debt. You know, say you got $80,000, $90,000 worth of debt. You got a good job, moving to parents and plow, you know, once again, you know, if you've got the wife or the husband, you know, it's like we're moving in with the parents, and you take one salary and dedicate it to debt elimination. One whole salary. You will see that stuff disappear in a matter of months, most people. Months, maybe a year. If you're like really crazy debt, and you know, really for more steps on this, go to DaveRamsey.com because that's all they talk about. They've got a whole program for that. But put yourself in the mindset of, I am trying to create a life versus just living. So, you know, think radically. You know, sit down and think, how can I make the money I have go further? Now, by living on one income, if you have two, because obviously if you're single, this doesn't apply to you, but there's a lot of people out there. And I think one of the most powerful business teams is a married couple that love each other, trust each other, and have the same goals. That's a very, very powerful team. Now, so with that saying, there's a lot of people that are married, and they both, as the Japanese says, they're sleeping in the same bed but dreaming different dreams, which actually is probably one of the worst combinations you could have, because they're working against each other. But say, you've got that power team. Call it, that's a true power team. Now, power couple is like we're both, no. Power team to me is where both people are on the same accord from insole to inseam. I mean, everything is congruent. So, if you got that kind of deal, consider yourself blessed. Now, another reason for living on one income when you don't have to is it gives you the ability to create something that a lot of people don't have. Assets. Even if you don't want to start a business. And I talked about this years ago, and I will tell it to you again. And this is one of my mentors early in life. And a lot of times people get mentor you and you don't know you're being mentored to because you get that information long before you need it. I met this guy when I was at Fort Mac. I was still in the military. He and his wife, ducks. Okay. I guess I'm distracted like the dog. Squirrel and ducks. I heard of ducks, or whatever you want to call them. And I met this guy, came in, and he was a school teacher. He was actually retired military. It was weird. He got some kind of disability, so he still has military benefits, but he didn't do 20 years. And he's a school teacher, and his wife was a school teacher. And this man just dropped some knowledge on me that just, it blew my mind. Because, he's like, yeah, my wife and I, we own, like, I think at the time, 8 or 9 houses. And they were school teachers. Now, this was in the 80s, okay? They weren't making a lot of money then. They don't make a lot of money now. They were making less money then. So these 2 school teachers, they were real estate moguls. Because at that time, for you to own 9 houses, and when I say own, not have control of, because see, if you have a mortgage on it, you have control of that house. You don't really own it. The bank still owns it. They actually own these houses. And I was like, since he was telling me all that, I was like, how'd you do it, big boy? So we talked, and he said he and his wife, since they've been married, lived on one income. And they took the other income and always did something with it, like pay off bills. He's like, when they got married, they had a really nice nice wedding, but they did not go into debt for the wedding. And after the wedding, it was like, hey, this is working for us. So it's like, hey, they bought their first house, a little house. It wasn't nothing grand. He said they still had it, but it was a foreclosure way back in the day. They took that house and lived in it. Then when they saved some more money from her salary, they moved from that house, rented that house, bought another house. And they kept doing this and kept doing this. And then he said around house number 5 is when things went kind of crazy, because between the rental income and her income, they were able to buy 2 houses a year. And then they as he put it, he said they upped their game. And this was, long before that statement became more mainstream. I was like, okay, you upped your game. What'd you do? He's like, well, we kept the first house, but we started shifting our portfolio. That's what he said. So we sold some older houses, took that money and bought better houses in better neighborhoods. Because he told me, he said it's very easy to rent a house in a decent neighborhood with a good school system. This dude, now this was a brother, okay? This was a brother. And he was a really, really smart guy. Really, really smart guy. So they shifted their portfolio. So they went from the smaller houses. I think he says we keep the first house more so out of sentimental value than just business. It's paid for, it makes money. But they shifted their portfolio and they had these 9 houses. And this is the thing. When I met this dude, he's still working. So this is what this couple, 2 teachers, 2 people who didn't make a lot of money but they had tremendous purpose. They have tremendous purpose. And that's what a lot of people lack. They'll have money. You'll have people with really good incomes. They have no purpose. They're just blowing money, buying shit, trying to soothe the angst and the agony in their soul. And that's not going to happen when you buy shit. You know, if you buy something you really want and it makes you happy, that's one thing. But just buying stuff, at a certain point, you're going to reach a level of satiation, and it's just going to be dull. That's why, like, alcoholics and drug addicts have to consume more alcohol or more drugs to chase that high, because it gets more and more difficult. Same thing happens on this level when you spend money and you buy stuff. Keep buying stuff, you gotta buy more stuff. Get off that treadmill. But essentially, what I'm telling you is the most important thing in your plan to make a living without a job is your purpose, mindset, strategy, and plan. You know, you could have two people right now making minimum wage who are married, but if they come up with a sound plan, which, like I said, they may have to move in with the parents. They might be able to live on their own, but they might have to move in with the parents to actually get ahead. When I was a bum and I was working those two minimum wage jobs, I had to have two jobs, and one to pay bills and one so I can escape that hellhole. Because I wasn't going to make enough money with the one job to get out of the hole. It just wasn't going to happen. So you got to really think in terms of not today, but tomorrow, next month, next year, and start thinking about these seeds and stuff that you're dropping today and what they will grow into tomorrow. Because one thing is for certain, if you live long enough, you're going to get older, which means tomorrow's coming. Whether you prepare for it or not, it's still coming. So if you want to really, really have that type of life where you control your time, you control the things you do, you may have to bear a lot of pain right now. Some of that pain may be, like I said, I had a friend recently who had moved in with a good friend. I think it was lasted like 10 months, and that enabled her to retire about $25,000. Now, she has a high income. That's another thing. But that allowed her to retire about $25,000 worth of debt in 10 months. Because she was able to take that, you know, what she was paying on her bills anyway, plus the money that would have went toward rent or a mortgage. So she was able to make her credit score zoom up and do some wonderful stuff. You got to think like this. Now, you know, this person, she made six figures, and she did this because she realized that, you know, she kept doing what she was doing. It wasn't going to get any better. And that's what a lot of people fail to realize. That level of thinking that got you into trouble is not going to get you out of trouble. It's not. It's going to take a new level of thinking, a new mindset, a new mental framework. So, just chew on that. But if you want to make a living without a job, try living on one income when you don't have to. You know, as Harvey McKay said in his book, dig your well before you're thirsty. This may be something good for you to do right now before it starts to rain. Before, you just go ahead and just put the umbrellas in the corner. Because I'm telling you, I don't care what anyone says. In my mind, there's no such thing as having too much money. I don't care who you are. There's no such thing. None. There's no such thing. Anyone's like, hey, more money, more problems. That is a mental deficiency. You just don't know how to handle your money. That's what that is. It's not, money's not a problem. Bad decisions are a problem. So with that, chew on it, think about it, and understand that if you want to make a living without a job, it's going to take effort, potentially some sacrifice, consistency, and dedication. All right? This is Glenn and Cameron. I'll see you on the good side.